Hello everybody, this is Kiran and today we are going to learn about how to handle keyboard and mouse events. Now, we have learned how to automate different web elements on a page, but handling keyboard and mouse events like right click, double click, drag and drop is not very usual and not very simple. So for that we have to use actions and action classes. Okay, so let's see how to do it. Now, using actions and action classes, we can actually handle a lot of events of the keyboard and mouses. The different kinds of actions or events which we can perform is here. So I'll just quickly enlarge it. Yeah, you can see here. First is click and hold. Suppose we want to click the mouse and hold for a while and release it on a particular location, we can do that. Context click is right click of a mouse. Okay, double click, we know, like sometimes we need to do a double click on an element. Then drag and drop is a very commonly used action. We want to drag some element from some place to some other place and drop it there. So those can be done using actions classes, action and actions classes. Then drag and drop by. So if you want to mention some offset, you can do that from one offset to another. So we can do that from one coordinate to another coordinate. Then key down, that means whenever we press on key, shift key or alt key, so it's called key down, and when we release the press alt, any key which we want to press is key up. Okay, so key down and key ups can be used. Move by offset. Suppose we want to move the mouse from its current position by the given offset, like how much you want to move it. Then we have move to element, like we want to move the mouse to a particular element, so we can do that too. Release of the mouse is again release. And send keys, we know that send keys that we have been using so far to pass on any value onto any element on the page. So these are the commonly used methods which mouse events which we actually need to perform on our pages. So we have to learn how to actually automate them now. So it's just an example. So what we have to do, we have to import actions and action classes. These are the steps which we have to perform. Then we have to, of course, create a new object to actions class, and we have to also create an object to the action class. So both objects we have to create, and then using those objects we have to use the method which we want to use, as in we want to do a right click, we want to move the element to somewhere, so we can do that. And then a last step to this is to use perform. First we have to actually, using all the objects which we have to do a build. First we build and then we perform. The last step is to perform. So these are the steps which are required. We have to actually write a code and see, only then we'll be understanding how it is working. Okay, so let's first learn what all we want to do. Okay, just a second. Now let's create another class, Java class. Let's name it as action class, or maybe mouse events, mouse actions, mouse events, anything like that. Now finish. Now we have our package ready and we have the class. We have to import action and actions classes. Even if we don't import, we'll get errors. Now what we have to do is, let's start on with a scenario first, what we actually want to do. First understand, let's understand that, and then we will be able to actually use it. So we can use google.com. Let's open google.com, and in that we'll go to some element, and then we'll pass on any text inside it. Okay, and we'll do a build and perform on it. Okay, so just a second. So to understand the mouse events, mouse actions, let's take an example of the Orange HRM demo website. So we'll be logging into this website first as a part of our automation program, and then once we are logged into this website, just a second. So once we are logged in, we'll go to the left navigation panel and we'll right click. Okay, so there's a pop-up which is appearing. We'll right click on my admin section or something, any of the sections we can right click on, and we'll do a key down and we'll press enter. So that will open in a new window. So we'll do this as a part of our mouse actions, wherein we will be using right click, we'll be using key down, we'll be using key hit, which is enter, and we'll build and then perform. So let me go back to the code. Here we go. So this is the code wherein we have imported normal by WebDriver and Chrome driver, and I have started on the class and the public static void main. I've used a throws exception of throws interrupted exception because I'm using thread.sleep. Thread.sleep will be used so that we are applying forceful wait after the login. Saving the URL into a variable of string type. So this is the URL, and now I'm starting on with the WebDriver. WebDriver is equals to new Chrome driver, and I'm getting the URL. I can also maximize the window. Let me do that. Driver.manage .window.maximize. Now once the windows is maximized, I can I have put a wait thread.sleep for 5 seconds so that it can load properly, and then user ID, password, and login button click. This is normal login automation code. Now after that, I want to go to this part wherein there is a left navigation bar, and I want to just do a right click on the admin. So for that, I need to know the XPath of the admin tab first of all. So let me find that out first. Okay, so for that I need to do a right click inspect element. So just a second. So I've done inspect element. Here we will find out its XPath. I can use selectors hub. So there's the XPath. I'll just copy this XPath and I can paste it here. Now I can save it into driver.find element by this thing. Now, before moving on to I don't want to do a click on it, I want to do a right click on it. So for using right click or any other mouse actions, I need to have action and actions classes. So I'll be importing both of these classes into my code, and if I don't import, I'll get an error message if we are using it. So I can start creating object of the actions class. Okay, so let me do that. Actions. Let the object name be builder because I'm going to build using this. Actions builder is equals to new actions and then driver. So I'm asking the WebDriver to use the actions class. Okay, so for that I have to create a new instance of it, driver. Now when I do that, I get an error message because I have to import it. Similarly, I have to create an object to the action class also. So let us do that. Action I can name the object as anything, it doesn't matter. let's say we name the object as right click, or if we want to do, let's say mouse action or something like that. Okay, let's do mouse action. Okay, I can just create it for the time being. I can directly use builder dot now. I want to do a right click, right? So this is context click on what element I want to do a right click. So I can do one thing, I can save this element into a web element type of variable. Okay, so I have to save this element because this is an element, right? So I can save this element into a web element type of web element admin tab or something. So I have to actually import web element also. So this is going to return me a web element, so I'm saving it into a variable which is of a web element type. Okay, now I can directly do a context click on that web element which is admin tab. Okay, so I'm doing a context click on it. Now I have to use, just a second, after okay, so I'm telling the web driver that you have to first of all create an object to the actions classes. Now use that object to perform action on this object, the object of action. Okay, so context click dot admin tab. After that I want to do more things which is about, here we go. So after admin tab I do a right click and then I click on the lower arrow, and then twice I want to hit on the key dot arrow, that is the lower arrow button. Now for that what I have to write is dot send keys. Okay, so I have to do send keys dot arrow. Okay, keys dot arrow. So I have to write here keys dot arrow down. Okay, dot send keys dot arrow down. So I'm doing it twice. Okay, same thing, keys dot arrow down. Now once I have done twice, I know I have right clicked and pressed on the enter arrow down key twice. I want to hit on enter also. So if you're hitting on enter, I have to do send keys dot return. Okay, so send keys, here we go, keys dot return. Okay, now once I have done all these, I will build the entire thing. Okay, and after building, I can just build the whole thing. Yeah, so we'll see that we have not imported the action classes. That's where we'll be getting errors. So we'll just import that action class also. So copy, Control V, action. Now we can still see some error. We'll figure that out. Hang on. So I've created an object to actions classes and I've created an object to the action class also, to which I have passed this dot context click. Then I'm clicking on some admin tab web element dot send keys dot. So basically keys is not resolved. Keys will be, K will be capital actually. So K will be capital. Okay, still there is an error. So I have to just hover the mouse over this and see what is the error. So I have to import keys actually. Now that is done. Now after I have done this, I have to perform also. Only building won't work, so I have to do mouse action dot perform. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm building all the set of chain of actions which I wanted to do over mouse actions or mouse events, and at the end, using the object to the action class, I have to call a perform method. So majorly, if you remember the PPT, we had 4 steps. One was importing action and actions classes, then initiating the object of the actions class first, which is builder, and then initiating the object of action class, which is mouse action, and then using build and then perform. So these were the 4 steps. So we are doing all those things here. So first of all, we are importing 2 important libraries here, actions and action, and then we are creating, we are normally logging into any website, and on that website we are finding out a tab which lies on the left navigation panel. I want to do a right click on it, so I can do actions builder. So I'm creating an object to the actions classes is equals to new action, and it should act on the web driver element. So basically wherever it is linked to the driver, it should act there. Now I'm also creating an object to the action class whose name is mouse action. So this is relating itself to the builder, which is the object of the actions classes, dot then which action you want to do, context click right now I want to do, and then send keys, keys dot arrow down is pressing of the lower navigation key, and then again the same thing, and then hitting on enter, and then after hitting on enter I can do a build on this, which is here, and after building I can do a perform. So these are the set of actions we wanted to do. So let's go and run this code and see that what happens when the code executes. Let me run this code. So web browser will open. It will open my URL. Will maximize the window also. And then it will pass on the username and hit on enter. Now it will go and right click on it, and then it will open it in 2 key arrow down, and then so there's a this key arrow down didn't work because it happened very fast, so I'll just apply a wait, and then now since the code is failing, we'll have to apply a wait after logging in, because the UI is appearing even before a proper login, and that's where the code is trying to click on the or perform the next set of steps. So we will be applying a thread.sleep here, and then after that what the same we are changing the tab on which we are clicking. Instead of admin, we choose PIM. Why? Because we want to check that if it is clicking on, right click on this and then clicking on the open link in the new window, it should change the URL. It should change it to, like, let's say if we are opening it here, it should change to PIM view, right? So we can do that, we can check that, and that's where we can be sure that our test case is working fine, and then at the end I have given a sys out for test case passed. So let me run this code for you so that you can have a look on the execution and see if it's working fine or not. So I'm just hitting on the play button. After this, new instance of the web browser will open. Yeah. So web browser is opening. It will maximize the window. So the window will be maximized, and then it will pass the user ID password and log in. Then there is a thread.sleep which is applied so that it gets enough time to log in, and after that it will hit right click on the PIM, and you can check that the URL has changed. So yes, it worked perfectly fine. So that is about using mouse actions or series of actions. So we have to follow the steps which is mentioned. The test case passed has also appeared on the screen, you can see. So we'll go back to the PPT to check if anything else is left in that. So this is the one, step 1, 2, 3, 4, we have done everything. Now, so building a series of multiple actions also we can do. You can just check, like the example is given for some other websites, facebook.com or something, let's say, it doesn't matter. So we have similarly created a new instance of the actions. We have created an object to the actions class, and then also object to the action class whose name is series of action. So you can see here actions object name is equals to new action driver, and action object name is equals to builder, which is the object of this builder dot, then series of actions have been performed. Let's say I've moved my cursor to somewhere, and this web element is already saved here. You can see driver.find element by ID to the email box. Then there's a click. That means you go there, move the cursor and then click on it. Then key down is to press the shift key, so that you can, if you want to write something in capitals, let's say. So usually you press the shift key, right? And then you write something. So hello, and then release the shift key, and then you want to double click something and then do a right click on it, and then build and then perform. So the same thing which we have done in the previous series of actions also can be done together, and one action also can be done. It's up to you. But whenever we are performing any mouse actions, we need to use actions and action classes. That's it. So this will be the outcome actually. You write hello on the email or user ID box, and you also do a double click on it to select the whole thing, and it's written in capitals because you have pressed deliberately shift key and released the shift key. So that is about this test case. Now that was about mouse actions, using mouse events, mouse actions. That's all for today's session. We'll come up with more topics in the upcoming sessions. Till then, goodbye.